Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? Sam here, United People's TV, kickstarting another week and kickstarting the week, hopefully, that we've been waiting for. The week where we're going to get an announcement of who the new owner of Manchester United is going to be. Is it going to be Sheikh Jassim and the Qatari bid, or is it going to be Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos? If reports are correct from Matt Lawton in the Times and Mike Keegan from the Daily Mail that came out over the weekend, we'll know that by the end of this week. My immediate reaction to that is I'll believe it when I see it. But what I'm going to do this morning is run through everything that happened over the weekend. You know, I don't go live. Well, I'll go live on Sunday if something huge happens. I didn't react to it yesterday. I was feeling sorry for myself. All right. I was feeling sorry. I'll give myself a little day off. Imagine that. Give myself a day off. So all the reports broke yesterday. I'm going to cover them all this morning. We're going to speak about the Champions League pots. The pots are now officially out. So I'll run through those. We can speak about who our dream draw is going to be. We can speak about Mason Mount. We can speak about Harry Kane. And unfortunately, as you can see, there's a certain name on the board there. Got to have a conversation about Jordan Pickford, which I find is a little bit weird. But I will focus on the takeover to begin with, and I'll see who's down here in the comments. Good morning to what I would say, as I say every week, plenty of times, the best community, Manchester United community in the world. Who's down here? Garlic Bread Man, one of the best names. Stephen Reacts, you're there. Al Williams, Michael G. How you doing? Yogi, you're there as well. David Webb. Julie, you're there. Ant and Josh and T. Frankie, Kieran. We've got Saeed, Aaron. Harry Bernard watching on Facebook. We've got Victor Facebook. We've got Freeborn. We've got Kieran Moran. How you doing, buddy? There's lots of you joining in. And I'm sure this is going to be a good show. But there is one thing I have to address at the very beginning of the show. You can't really ignore the elephant in the room. Not sure if you watched sport over the weekend. Something happened. Something happened that I suppose nobody, maybe some people expected it to happen. Not everybody expected it to happen, but there was a couple of failures along the way. But ultimately, it has been done. And I've got to push rivalry to one side, right? And push my own preference and my favorites to one side and say, look, man, absolute congratulations to Novak Djokovic. Like, he won his 23rd Grand Slam. He's now the all-time ahead of Rafa Nadal, ahead of Roger Federer. And yeah, that's pretty much the only thing that happened over the weekend, sport-wise. You know, Novak Djokovic isn't my, if I'm going to choose, I'm going Roger Federer, right? But, congratulations to Novak Djokovic. And I'm pretty sure that's the only sporting event that actually happened over the weekend. So let's move quickly and swiftly on. Move quickly and swiftly on to this conversation, which I can't wait. I can't wait until it's just done now. I really can't. That live stream we had on Saturday morning got a bit, I don't know. I'm not struggling with it. It's the wrong way, but it's you're getting torn and it's just not infighting. It's just difference of agreement, difference of opinions on who the correct new owner is. And I firmly explained my position on Saturday. There are massive questions and concerns I would have about both new owners. And those questions still remain, and those questions will remain the whole way through until we get to find out who the new owner is going to be. Now, this was the report that came out yesterday. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to run through both the Times article in full so we can discuss it. We won't just look at the headline. We'll run through actually all the points. And there's an interesting point that about the Ratcliffe bid and the structure of it that I haven't actually seen before. And then we'll run through Mike Keegan's from the Daily Mail. Clearly, Matt Lawton and Mike Keegan have got the same sources. I'm told that those sources are the legal side of the Qatari bid. So that might be where their information is coming from. We'll find out. But let's run through this article. Let's discuss it. Nasser Al-Khelaifi has denied any sort of involvement in the Manchester United bid. He admitted that he was asked by Sheikh Jassim for advice, and he said, and I'll run through those quotes later. And then it's going to be a big old discussion, as it always is every morning. I try to be as interactive as I possibly can. I try to take on opinions from all different angles. I'd like to think that over the course of the last few months here in United People's TV, we've had to have some tough conversations. As I said, as United fans, we've been forced to have questions and debates and arguments that we really shouldn't need to have, but it's just the way that it's going. And I'm looking forward to just a decision being made, right? I'm looking forward to a decision being made. And if this is the week, then I'll be happy for that in itself. Let's run through the Matt Lawton article. Let's run through the Mike Keegan article and pull out the key points that we can discuss here in the comments, all right? Manchester United takeover. The preferred bidder is to be announced by the end of this week. Now, curiously, Ben, of course, we've spoken to Ben Jacobs for a lot. Well, geez, about 10 times, 9 or 10 times now, me and Ben have had an interviews. Lots of you have enjoyed them. I've enjoyed them as well. Ben's actually suggesting that there won't be a period of exclusivity. And I understand the logic of that, because at this point, one of these two have been strung along. And it's something you can see straight away down here. You're saying, look, the bidders in the battle for Manchester United are hoping to hear this week if they have been given exclusivity status to complete that deal. Lawyers acting for both groups are now continuing to work on the finer details of a possible purchase. Both Sheikh Jassim and the Qatari side and Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, they're going the whole way through. When it was the Chelsea situation with Clearwater Group, which I think was Todd Bowley's, and I think there was it like 3? I think there were 3 or so bidders there. And then when it went towards the Todd Bowley one, that's where these finer details were discussed. But everything's kind of happened beforehand. And one of them have been shafted. And honestly, I don't actually know if the Glazers see it that way at all. And it's because of the indecision, the utter indecision. And clearly they still haven't made their own mind up. Both of them have been asked to go the entire way through the process. So by the time that an exclusive period is needed, it kind of isn't with these, because they're already that far down the line. Let me see what you're saying in the comments. Miguel, you're saying at this point, I don't care who the new owner is. I just want it to be done. No, that's a comment I would wholeheartedly disagree with. I absolutely care about who the new owner is. It's just what I said on Saturday, and it completely said I'm so firmly on the fence on this one, because I know that part of me as a United fan is going to be compromised depending on which side of the fence it falls on. There is no Disney owner. And that's always been part of the arguments and part of the debates among United fans. Let's go and read some more through this article here. Ratcliffe and his petrochemical firm, Ineos, have been involved with advanced talks for the last few weeks. Look, there has been, and this is something that's definitely reported by both Mike Keegan and Matt Lawton, there is a renewed sense of optimism in the Qatari camp over the last 72 hours after talks with the Glazers and the Rain Group. So that 5th bid that went in last week, that was, I wouldn't say it was an overwhelming surprise that a last-minute bid went in from the Qataris. I don't think anybody was massively surprised, right, that they came. But I think it probably would have been more surprising than anything if they didn't do that, because we've always been like, okay, the Qataris, we know that they've got the money. We know that they could just come in and just blow the Ineos bid out of the water, but they never have. So it would have been more surprising than anything if they didn't come in with that last bid. Jack, you just joined there as a member, buddy. Let me know where you're watching from. Welcome to the family. I'll try and give you a shout out in the comments. I'm going to read a couple more comments about, as I said, I tried to make these shows as interactive as possible. On Saturday, it got really difficult because the comments just, if the comments just turn into, in the live chat, just turn into a spewing match where people don't leave genuine comments, questions to engage conversation, then it's very, very difficult for me to actually engage in conversation and not just get distracted by people just shouting stuff at me. And that's exactly what happened on Saturday, plus the motorbike outside, plus the music. Unbelievable. Yeah, it was all going wrong on Saturday. Abhinav saying, don't think Ratcliffe has been taken for a ride. If anything, I believe he's following the NDA while the Qatari group isn't. Suggesting, well, everything up until that final bid went in was heavily pointing towards Ineos. I spoke and interviewed Andy Mitten on Friday. And yeah, he said the same thing. Everything that we've been seeing and reading for quite a few weeks now has all been leaning towards Ineos. And that's what changed last week when that 5th bid went in. And as has been written here by Matt Lawton and Mike Keegan, there is a bit of a renewed optimism from the Qatari side. So I would definitely say, if you had asked me last Monday who I felt was going to win, I probably would. I think I would have swung towards Ineos in terms of where I felt the momentum was going. But that last extra bid shifted it back, and that's what it is. It's just, imagine Manchester United as a football club being used as this sort of, a pawn is the wrong way to describe it. I don't know how to describe this takeover process anymore. I've always kind of been sitting there going, you know what? 7 months, is that really that long for a takeover? And then part of me is like, well, no. But then the other side of it is, it's just so played out in public. And that's what makes it painful as United fans. And that's what makes it frustrating. And that's why it's turned into sort of the public spat that it has turned into. Debbie, you're saying describe it as an auction. That's how it feels. I don't know. It's been really, really frustrating for me. And I'm sure it's been frustrating for every single one of you. Mecca, you sent a super chat. So I'm going to ask the question here. How many of your members are Qatari trolls, do you think? That's a very strange question to ask there, Mecca. I don't think anybody is a troll, man. Well, that's a goddamn lie. There are plenty of trolls online. But I know full well that there are plenty of you that really have a massive preference for the Qatari side. And trust me, I can understand why. And if you're looking at what actually happened in sport-wise over the weekend, congratulations, Novak Djokovic. We've had to witness our legacy diminishing, especially this season with the treble, and just had to watch on the sidelines while City won 4 out of the last 5. But they've got 115. I mean, I'm sure those 115 charges are going to get forgotten about. I reckon that. Alex, thank you very much, Super Chat, Jude. What are you saying? Ben talks about transactionally backwards, but how much more backwards can it be? Enough to sign papers and tell the league. I still feel like, and I hate to be the bearer of, I'm not somebody who, you know me, I try to take the positive spin where possible, but it's not at the detriment of staring at the truth in front of your face. It still feels to me that it could take a while. I think if it's the Qatari side of things, the Premier League will scrutinize it ridiculously, really, really ridiculously. And I think that might delay things. Either way, United season next season is affected by this takeover now. Next summer is going to be the first summer, fingers crossed, that we can go into without the Glazers even as a afterthought, just a poisonous previous memory. That's all the Glazers will be next summer. But for this summer, they're still there. They are still there. And this summer is massively and completely affected by their ownership of our football club. Let's go and just read some more into this detail. It was a bit down here that I wanted to see. This is a bit that I found interesting, right? Ratcliffe had initially submitted an offer for the 69% stake of the club. Now that figure is understood to be closer to 60%. So you remember that we've heard so many different sorts of structures of what a Ratcliffe or Ineos bid would look like. Initially, it was 69%. It was buying out all the Glazers in one fell swoop, exactly the same as Sheikh Jassim's. With the concept of then, or maybe not. Sheikh Jassim wants 100% of the club, so Sheikh Jassim intends to buy out the other 30%. I don't know whether Jim Ratcliffe ever would, and I have no idea. But that 69% was the original one. Then he went down to, what was it, 40-something%, allowing the Glazers to retain their 20% stake in the club. And now that's switched again to 60%. It feels like Ineos they're kind of letting the Glazers sort of make the bid that they want it to be. You tell us what percentage you want to hold on to, and we'll do the rest. Now, there is one thing I do want to say about this, and this is something I do want to talk about. A question I want to ask you in the comments after I read this one out. Craig Harris saying, please explain why this will affect our summer transfer window, Sam. Well, Craig, what you're seeing down there, everything you're seeing here, all the names that we be linked to. We've got Jordan Pickford is now on there, by the way. Jordan Pickford. Are you serious? Jordan Pickford. Man, no way. I put him right in the same category as Hugo Lloris. Decent enough goalkeeper, but sod having that keeper in my team. Of course it's affected. Man United have, with Decision FC, Waiting FC, whatever you want to call it. We're linked with plenty of players, but how many bids have we put in? How much actual physical movement with regards to money have we put in? We haven't done anything yet. Everything feels like it is waiting for that sign-off. And until it's sorted, we won't know. But let's go back to this story. I was going to mention something else, but I think I'll just skip onto this here, right? Because there's still too much to speak about. An increased bid by the Qataris is now believed to be nearer the overall Ratcliffe valuation. There is still some way short of 6 billion. The Qataris believe, I mean, this is obvious, right? The Qataris believe a final decision simply comes down to whether the Glazers want to maintain some involvement with the club they've had full control of since 2005, or whether they choose to accept Sheikh Jassim's offer. And that's always been the case. That really has always been the case. Because you will have Darcy, you'll have the other four Glazers wanting to take Sheikh Jassim's bid, and you have Abraham and Joel wanting to say, well, we'd rather cash out a little bit now and then keep the rest of it and cash out in 5 years' time when we can make more money. Paul, nice to see you there joining as a member as well. Legend. Jack, you sent a super chat. Let me read this one out. Nice to see you, buddy. Thank you very much. As much as I hate the thought of Qatari ownership, I can't help but think we really need it to get close to City. If you can't beat them, join them. Now, that phrase there, if you can't beat them, join them. I think I might have floated the concept of it once in my head. And I don't want to say if you can't beat them, join them. But I have to say that the way modern sport, the way modern football has gone, I understand it. I really genuinely do. If you think that there is no alternative, I wouldn't say there's no alternative, but it's in the context of what's happened in the last 10 years, it's hard to ignore. And you see what's happened in the last 10 years with City. We're at the beginning of probably another 10 years of where are Newcastle going to be in 10 years' time? They are a huge club in their own community. Like, they're a phenomenal stadium. Back in the Champions League, way earlier than predicted. Right? I'm not saying that Newcastle are going to go and do what City did, right? The idea that they've turned themselves into an absolutely dominant force. But of course, I worry about what Newcastle are going to do now. Every year, I don't know if you say it as well, but every year I'm like, the Premier League is just the competitive nature of the Premier League. It's getting more and more difficult, more and more intense. Last year was intense, and that was still with Liverpool falling off face of the earth, Chelsea finishing 12th, Spurs being absolutely abysmal. Next season, Spurs will be significantly better under Postecoglou. No doubt. They've actually somehow landed on their feet. Joke. Chelsea, you would imagine they'd be far better under Poch. You would imagine, but you don't know. Jurgen Klopp, I'm hoping that he can't rebuild that Liverpool team, but let's find out. That's, for me, what is the definition of a great manager, and that's what I always held Fergie in such high regard for, because he built like three teams, three ridiculous teams, and probably you could say more than that as well. But in terms of rebuilding, and certainly the switch from when Mourinho came in to then us going into probably our best football from 2006 to 2009, when we switched to a 4-3-3. We had Ronaldo, we had Tevez, that was. But if Klopp can do that with Liverpool, hey, let's find out. But all of that with Newcastle, with City already being City, With Arsenal doing Arsenal, man, the Premier League is harder to win than it ever was. And unfortunately, we've always, I think, the Premier League sort of pointed our fingers at other leagues and gone, oh, we're better than that. You know, you don't know who's going to win the Premier League this year. We're not like the Bundesliga when Bayern Munich win it 10 years in a row. Well, we've got City have won it 4 out of the last 5 now. We can talk about how competitive it is, but there's one team who's dominating it right now. And we have to break that. We allowed it to happen. I say we allowed it to happen. I will take that back completely. The Glazers enabled this opportunity that City absolutely took advantage of with both hands. But they walked into the gap that Man United left. We vacated, City took it. Now we have to take it back somehow. And it's going to be under the ownership of one of these two. I think you all know my concerns that I would have with a Qatari takeover and the links that might create and the questions it would ask. I would have serious concerns. My biggest concern about the Ineos, any potential Ineos ownership, would be around the financing and the structure of it, the actual ability to financially compete on the scale of the other clubs around us. For context, yeah, if they're correct, as I said, if Mike Keegan here is correct, if Matt Lawton is correct, then this week is the week when we finally get some information on this. I'm going to go through Mike Keegan's article now, and I'm going to read through your comments. As I said, this is an interactive show. Kieran Moran, how you doing, buddy? Let me know where you're watching from, dude. I think you're watching from New York, maybe not. Well, you got New York there. And Jammy Jam Jars. We've got Jammy Jam Jars, Garlic Bread Man, and we've got like a full food army. What are you saying, dude? I will never understand why the Premier League revealed over 100 charges against City only to follow it up with crickets. They will get a slap on the wrist. I mean, I suppose, did they have to go public? No, I suppose they did have to go public with the knowledge of it. It's a strange one, if I'm being totally honest, to see the Premier League going after the club who's dominating its own competition and to try and undermine their own. The Premier League must feel that conversation I just had there, like, we're turning into a league where it's just one team winning. And they've broken the rules. They've bent the rules. And look at Newcastle, like what Newcastle are doing this summer. I think they've just announced, a shirt sponsor that's from a company that's 80% owned by the Public Investment Fund. Who could possibly have seen that coming? And the amount they're going to get for that sponsorship is like 3 times what they had before. I don't know if I'm completely accurate with my figures here. But yeah, it's mad. Stephen down here. How am I doing that? Honestly, is that how I'm coming across? How the hell am I doing that? You know the one thing I would say here, right? This idea of keeping the Glazers. I want to ask you in the comments, Dan. I've got one question I'd like to ask, and I can't be bothered to explain this anymore to anybody who really just wants to shout something else. Like, if you are just like 100% Qatari or if you're 100% Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, then you're closing your eyes and you're ignoring the concerns and questions about those. I don't think anybody can. Well, that's my opinion. I don't think anybody can just firmly just sit in one camp. Josh is saying, thought it was illegal to have your own sponsors. I don't know. Go and ask City. But if I can ask you a question, what can you tell me about Lindsay Train? It's a company. What can you tell me about Lindsay Train? I'm just curious as to know. I'll leave it open to the comments, and I want to see what you'll say in the comments here, because I'm interested here. Flashfire, you'll say, look, there is no fairy tale owners. This is what's happened to football. It's what's happened to our clubs, and we're just having to deal with it now as fans. Seven Samurai, thanks for the super chat, dude. You're saying, I'm a little over this whole takeover thing. Deadline after deadline has passed and still we know nothing. Frustrating time. Still we have hope, mate. It's a hope that kills you, right? It is a hope that kills you. But I don't know. It feels... I'm optimistic about this week. You know, I don't normally go with headlines unless I trust them. And it feels like there aren't... The Glazers delaying it any further now is really affecting the value of the product that they are trying to sell. I'm speaking in like business, like horrible terms, I know, but they're negatively affecting it by delaying it any longer. All right, let me see what you're saying down here about Lindsay Train, right? American train company, American hedge fund. Let me see what else you're saying down there. Oh, look, Jonathan Rose, you've got investments. Parky, there you go. Someone said it right there. Lindsay Train own 20% of Manchester United. But you'd never heard them once. If Ineos, this is what has to be explained. If Ineos do somehow keep the Glazers in, that's what the Glazers would become. They would just become this thing in the background, this dirty little stain with no power over any decisions or control. So that's why, for me, when I look at the Ineos bid, I actually look more at the finances as my biggest concern about an Ineos bid. I would have more concerns about the debt. Joris, you're saying no because Glazers have got Class B shares. There's no way in hell that a £1 billion company is going to buy Manchester United and allow the Glazers to retain their control and their stake. If they stay, they would just retain their stake. But my biggest concern about any Ineos takeover is more to do with I know that the debt goes onto their books and it's associated debt. That stinks to me. I don't like that, and I never have. I think I made that abundantly clear since day one. Elvis, you bought that top from the United shop. Tut tut, Sam. Any words? A subscriber sent it to me. It was a present. How dare you, Sam? I knew somebody was going to mention that at some point. That's funny. Alex, you're saying this is why minority investment was never going to happen. That's what the Glazers tried to do. Remember we all thought that the Glazers were looking for investment in the club. No, they were trying to they went to Apollo Investments to try and buy out their siblings. Glenn, you're saying, so if they own 20% of the club, how can 100% sale go through if they don't all want to sell? It's all very confusing. Has been very confusing. It's because you could say it's 100% of the Glazer-owned shares, which is 69% of the club. That 31%, no one can actually guarantee that they can get it. Even Sheikh Jassim. If Sheikh Jassim buys Manchester United, he will get all of the Glazers shares completely out of the club. He would then still have to go and buy the 31% that's on the publicly traded shares. I don't know whether they would come up with the same share value that would apply to all Class A shares and Class B shares. But yeah, I was just thinking about it this morning. It's like these guys have owned 20% of Manchester United in the background for years and have had absolutely sweet FA to do with anything in the running of our club. And if Ineos did take over, that is what the Glazers would become. They might own part of the club, but they would just be in the background. They wouldn't. I would much, much rather they had nothing to do with our club and that they just got booted into the street. Right? We go down there. There's a super chat there from Seven Samurai. Dude, thank you so much, man. I'll continue to... What I will say, I can say one more time. This whole takeover, as I said, has forced United fans into a very public set of questions and debates that, well, I suppose we never really knew that we were going to get into. We never really wanted to get into, because all we want to do is speak about, all we want to do is argue and debate whether Mason Mount is the right person to sign for our club, or whether or not we should be going after Harry Kane because of Daniel Levy. These are the conversations. We want simple conversations down the pub. That's what we want to talk about. It's what we want to argue about. That's the football we want to talk about. And that's why we just want to get a conclusion to this. And hopefully, as I said, Hopefully Matt Lawton is correct. Hopefully Mike Keegan's correct, and that this week is that week. And it feels like it's got to come now, surely. Seven Samurai Man, thank you very much. What are you saying? Serious question. How likely you think it is that the Glazers have been playing the market, knowing their statements of staying and leaving affecting the stock price, market manipulation? You could, Seven Samurai, you could put that down in the same sort of situation as the UK government giving out contracts for just tons of contracts during COVID. And everybody knew at the time, they're going, really? And it's all starting to come up now, like a year or so, 2 years down the line, everything's starting to happen. And they're starting to get found out about it. Maybe you'll find out in the goodness of time about market manipulation that Glazers were involved in, but that's just speculation, and it's not. We can't really say much more about that. Jonathan, buddy, you sent a super sticker. Thank you very much, dude. But look, let me read through this article set. As I said, now this is a full and this is an interactive show. If you would, please drop a like on the video. I know I might have an opinion that not everybody agrees with, and hey, it's almost like some of you have an opinion that I don't always agree with, but I try my hardest on this channel to bring up different opinions, to debate it from other points of view. And I like to think, not with the Mason Greenwood situation. I don't entertain anything on that. I'm pretty firm on that. And you can have your position, cool, but I'm not gonna dive into that. I'm set on that. But anything to do with this, there are arguments either side. All right. Let's go through Mike Keegan's article. Sheikh Jassim and Jim Ratcliffe finalize their offers, and they will find out this week whether they're chosen. Both bidders in the battle for Manchester United are finalizing deal details. As I said, that's what it comes down to there. It's the final details. If I can ask you now, actually, let's quickly see this. I suppose you could do that as a poll, but not really. I just want you to leave your comments. Hypothetically, this is correct. This week is the week where we find out who the preferred bidder is. Now, there might not be in a period of exclusivity. It might kind of push through to the point of sale far quicker than that. But how long do you think it's going to be? So say by Friday, we know, cool. We know it's going to be Sheikh Jassim. Cool. We know it's going to be Jim Ratcliffe. How far after that point do you think we're going to be waiting for, I don't know, pictures of our new owner at Manchester United and the official statement, it's all done. The sale is completed. How long do you think that's going to take? I'd be curious to know do you think it's going to be something that's just as dragged out as the process itself? At what point does control switch? Surely control switches when the money's transferred, right? Presumably, it's like buying a house. You know, when you get the keys only the keys only get change hands after the contracts are signed. Both do it at the same time with the money. Yeah, at what point does it change? John, you're saying 10 years. 2 weeks, says Anderson. 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, and this is where we really have no idea what we're talking about, because we're talking about the acquisition. It's like $1 billion business deal transaction. That's a publicly traded company. You're really starting to get in the corporate deals details. We're on the New York Stock Exchange, so there's certain announcements we've got to make to the Securities Commission. There's a whole process here that comes after this point of finding the preferred bidder that we don't quite know about yet. Parky down here, you're saying, look, 100% can be bought quite easily. Thank you very much, Super Chat, dude. With a merger like that, it goes up for a vote of all shareholders, and with the Glazers having unanimous power, they can vote it through. Well, remember we saw last week, the Reuters were suggesting that those that had the stocks on the public New York Stock Exchange were considering mounting legal action against, because they don't have that control. Well, that's kind of what you signed up for, lads, right? That's why the Glazers have had such autonomy and power at our club, because they created that dual share structure, right? That's just the truth. Oh man, wow. Seven Samurai Man, There's just this community, man, has got so many standout people. There's not one person. There's not 10 people. There's hundreds of you that are all absolutely amazing. 20 gifted memberships from Seven Samurai down there. Anybody who's got one, you let me know in the comments. But what an absolute don, an absolute gent, and just man, I love this community. I really, really do. I can't wait for it to be done. I'm so close. I think I've got really. I don't know what I'd describe it on Saturday. I think I was clearly on edge. Well, speaking about what happened on Saturday, obviously Saturday was a conversation we had around Nasser El Khelaifi and the involvement in the process. Neil Hogan, Jassim. How many times do you have to tell people this is a fan forum and you're a fan with his own opinion? Exactly. That's exactly what it is. No, Neil. Neil. It is a fan forum. It is an open forum. Everybody is entitled to their opinions. And I do try as much as possible to open the floor, to engage, and to debate either sides. It's not always easy because, there are a lot of trolls out there that will just shout. And if you shout, sometimes you get heard and it can distract you. But Nasser has completely denied any sort of involvement. He said, PSG is my club in my heart and I have nothing to do with Manchester United. It makes me laugh. I'm Qatari, right? If people ask me my opinion, I will answer them for sure. And that's what they do. I'm talking about anyone, not just Manchester United. I will give them the experience that I have. That is it. Jordan, you're asking why you're timed out. Well, it's something that I've always said to the mods down there, and I can see it right there. Anybody who wants to sort of throw in, the only reason you would put your comment in caps is because you think that you're louder, mine should be read out first. No. That's probably why you were. You sent a super chat here saying Glazers are playing a waiting game to get what they want. They've been playing a waiting game this whole time. This absolutely whole time. Parky, yeah, you're right. About the premium that will come with a sale like that. The premium for all the other Class A. Because Man United right now, I think they're trading about $19-ish. Thereabouts. Might be $1 off. That's how much, if you were to go to New York Stock Exchange and you were to buy $10, if you were to buy 10 United shares, it will cost you $190. Whereas, according to the bids that have gone in, I think that premium will go up to around about $30. So nearly $11. It's a serious premium. I think the highest it's ever been, Manchester United, it was a couple of months ago, wasn't it? It was about 27, something like that. So it'll be a premium even on top of that. Elvis, you're trying to speak about the Chelsea takeover. It is a very, very pointless comparison. Chelsea, they were... He was trying to sell his club before his assets got frozen because of the war in Ukraine. Very, very poor comparison, and it bears no comparison. It's nothing. So there's no point looking at any timelines with Chelsea and saying, well, why does that not happen to Manchester United? They're two very different tales, of course. Dan, you're saying, I bet Sam gets absolutely spanned. Well, mate, I say, when we get sold, we are popping some bubbly. We're having a drink. We're having a good time. There we are. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's go back and let's read through a little bit more detail of the Mike Keegan article here. As I said, look, Mail Sport understands those acting on behalf of Sheikh Jassim, who at one time thought they had lost, now feel they are very much in the game. Very much in the game. And that's definitely the opinion that's kind of switched, isn't it? Up until last week, everything was pointing towards Ineos. And that the Qataris had sort of fading into the background. That's why that extra bid went in, because they clearly did feel that they were losing. But now that's swung back, and it's anybody's guess at this point. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't go with any confidence to the bookies and put any sort of amount of money down on Ineos or on Sheikh Jassim. I just couldn't. I wouldn't trust myself. I wouldn't trust my instinct. John, what are you saying, buddy? You're saying, what do you think Fergie would have done if he was still the boss? Be talkative about it, do a Trump and push for it. Well, it's a bit like when Fergie, when the Glazers took over, and then Fergie became the man who said there's no value in the market. He was a very passive manager at that point in time. Now, the success of United under Fergie and the continued success post the Glazers coming in, he was a genius. But yeah, in terms of what he would do now if he was boss, I imagine he'd probably take a similar stance to what he did when the Glazers took over. And remember that he sort of enabled it to happen with the Rock of Gibraltar. Let's not get into that conversation. We're trying to have positive talks here this morning. Tommy, good morning to you as well, my friend. Oh, nice dog. What else are we saying in there? Who are there any? I don't think bookies are doing anything on this, are they? I suppose I don't really care. Don't want to speak about gambling too much. What else are we saying down here? Let's see if Mike Keegan has written anything else inside this. Ratcliffe's people have been, we know that. It's been in advanced talks for weeks. Yeah, exactly. This is what I mean about clearly the Matt Lawton and Mike Keegan's sources are the same. The Qataris believe a final decision comes down to whether the Glazers want to maintain some involvement. The gap, however, is thought to be narrowed, and the Qataris feel that the decision now rests purely on whether the Glazers want to sell up or stay in some capacity. They clearly have the same sources, so that I'll leave it there for now, because there's still I want to talk about Mason Mount, Harry Kane, Champions League groups, plenty of actual other talking points around the news. We'll do a nice quick 10-minute roundup of all the other news, but it has been mainly about the takeover to begin with. Funnily enough, it's the single biggest thing that could possibly happen. Alex, I can see down there you gifted 5 memberships. I didn't miss that, my friend. I apologize. Jeez. Love this community. Absolutely love this community. Vincent saying, how did you not know you have a member message? I always apologize for that. It's not something that I can see on the software that I use. I don't use the actual direct YouTube software to do these shows. And for some reason, those member messages don't show up for me. Don't take offense. It's just the one I use. You can have a go at that. Say the Jungle. If Qatar gets this done, I don't want to be like PSG. I mean, no. No, I don't. You would imagine that any sort of mistakes that happen there would be some learnings from it. Yeah, but there's been plenty of mistakes at Nice and under the Ineos ownership, and which I've done. Oh, Sam, you're so pro Jim Ratcliffe. It hurts. Apart from the in-depth video I did on the crisis at Nice when Dante spoke out about it, or the video I did 6 months ago, which went in depth and looked at the structure of Ineos, what they've done right, the position of Daves Brailsford. But you can say what you want because it makes you feel better, and you can just throw accusations at me if you want as well. I think that's what's pissed me off the most is I feel like I've had to defend myself against accusations, which are just, there must be trolls. Yeah, I think I'm just nibbling on trolls. Damn it. I'm normally quite good at resisting trolling, but not always. Not always. Sometimes they get me. Oh, look, yeah, the transfer window opened on Wednesday. Nice. Joris, I like to think that this is a position I've always put myself in. I've covered both sides. I've opened both books. I've gone front to back on both, and I've laid it all out. I don't really think there's much more that I can say on it now. I don't think there's much more I can say. I don't think there's much more any of you can say. There's no more arguments we can have. There's no more debates we can have. Just get me the damn decision. Get me the decision. Then we can talk about it, right? Anyway, let's talk about transfers. The transfer window opens on Wednesday there. Pirola, stop getting emotional, Sam. These trolls get under your skin. It's tough when you spend so long, so much time and work and effort building something like this. It means a lot to me. And my reputation and my integrity means a goddamn lot to me. So that's why I don't like false accusations. All right. That's why I don't like false accusations. You can fairly, I don't know. Let's speak about transfers, all right? Because transfers is an easy thing for us to argue about. Mason Mount, is he worth 80 million? No, he's not worth 80 million. Euros, dollars, pounds, pesos, anything. No currency. He's not worth 80 million. Laughable that Chelsea want that. But United, look, it's clear that Erik ten Hag wants him. Now, you might disagree with Erik ten Hag on that, and that's beautiful. That's the sort of easy, nice football argument that we can have. And that's why we designed the channel in the first place, so we can have these conversations. But the bid's still not gone in. As I said, my sort of spidey senses are saying that Man United, when it comes to actual bidding, when it comes to whipping the wallet out and putting money on the table, that there, that there just hasn't happened. When it comes to Harry Kane, for example, this is what we've always felt. Remember I did my video, what was it? I don't know. A couple of months ago? My problem with United going after Harry Kane and the red flags that existed around Spurs and Daniel Levy and their inability to sell. Or no, not inability to sell. Their desire to not sell to a Premier League rival. Times here reporting the Man United are increasingly resigned to the fact that we probably won't get Harry Kane. And I want Harry Kane. I've made it. Sam, stop sitting on the fence. I'm not on the fence. I'm on the Kane side of the grass. I think he would be an incredible signing for us. And he would be my number one striker target. However, as a percentage, right? This would be curious. As a percentage, how likely do you think it is that we'll end up with Harry Kane as a Manchester United player? Give me a percentage down there. I'm curious as to where you think it is. It's not impossible, right? Money talks, X, Y, Z. Harry Kane, I don't think Harry Kane will push for a transfer. It just doesn't strike me as something he'll do. How likely do you think it is that we sign Harry Kane? Jonathan, you think it's 40%? Gerald, you're going 60. Ryden, you're going 30. Look at this. I'm going to pull all these up now. This is one of my favorite things. Whenever we just do something like this, look how many of you fire in your opinions and you engage on Facebook. And you're saying 20%, 1, 10 to 15, 33. I think I'll probably go about there with Matt. I'll probably go about 25%. And that, of course, is why Manchester United, we've done the groundwork with Rasmus Højlund. Kolo Muani as well. If you're looking at a more developed young striker, then Muani is your easy choice, in my opinion. I think he's more of a goal guarantee next year than Rasmus Højlund is. But if Højlund develops, continues to develop at the pace, the breakthrough season, and he does that at United, he looks fantastic. And so does Muani. I'm not saying that Muani looks terrible, but he would cost double the money and still wouldn't be the same sort of goal scoring guarantee for United next year that we need. The Marcus Thuram one I find very interesting. I always find it. Why is it that I think we spoke about this last week? I think you said that the only team really that's been linked with a move for Marcus Thuram is PSG. No, I've not heard any links to Manchester United at all. Because if you're looking at, we don't get Harry Kane. Question down here, right? Question down here. If we don't get Harry Kane, what two strikers do you think we could sign this summer? Realistically, don't just throw Osimhen and Højlund at me because we're not going to spend that much money. What realistic two striker options would you be happy with going into into next season with? Because Højlund looks like he'll be one of them if we don't get Harry Kane. And he's an exciting prospect, but that's an important word. He's a prospect. He's somebody that will develop. I don't think he'll be enough in his own. Marcus Thuram, of course, is, I think, a logical conversation. But I don't know. I'm finding it weird how not. It's a bit like Yuri Tillemans as well. Like, why is no one going after? I think Tillemans has been linked with Aston Villa about that. I don't really think it's been linked with anyone else. Let me see what the two strikers you're saying. Stephen, you're saying Ferguson and Højlund. Well, I think Ferguson's not leaving Brighton this year. I imagine he leaves Brighton next summer. I imagine he probably goes for a lot of wedge. Thuram and Højlund, lots of you saying down there. Højlund and Jonathan David. Jonathan David is going to be some serious wedge. I reckon he's going north of 75 mil if he was to leave. I suppose it's the same category as Muani, right? Man, players are expensive these days. It's just, I can't get my head around what a fair valuation is for most players anymore. I have no idea. It's like you just pull it, you just kind of like pull a number out of your head. You really do. Daniel, how you doing, buddy? You sent a super chat. Thank you very much. Imagine Qatar take over United. Will be Middle Eastern oil war. Qatar versus Emirates versus Arabian versus Saudi. And guess who the winner is? We fans. Otherwise, I mean, I wouldn't compare it anything to do with a war. But it's, I mean, if you look at that, Saudi Arabia have got Newcastle, Abu Dhabi have got City, Qatar currently have PSG. It's just the way that sport has gone. And you look at what Saudi Arabia are trying to do now. They are trying to make the Saudi League the new version of the Chinese Super League, but bigger, much bigger. And that don't they have a World Cup bid coming up as well? I don't know whether I'm wrong about that. I think they might be trying to do a World Cup bid. And yeah, the Qatari one won. So who would be surprised if the Saudi Arabian won and there was all of a sudden another Winter World Cup? Tielemans has gone filler. He's finished. I don't know. I just find it weird. Considering he's a free signing, considering he has got Premier League experience, I would have expected there to be a little bit more interested in him. Who said Vardy down there in the comments? Jeez. No. The only thing worse than talking about Jamie Vardy coming to Manchester United is actually having a conversation about Jordan Pickford. Now, I don't know whether I'm being unfair here. I don't think I am. Jordan Pickford, would you like him in a Manchester United shirt next season? Yes or no? Apparently, Tielemans to Villa is confirmed. Okay, fine, fair enough. I think it'd be a good signing for them. I do. I just find it weird how there weren't more clubs interested in him. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make. Easiest no ever, says High Dry down there. Jordan Pickford. I'm like, really? Pickford, I'm putting him right next to Hugo Lloris in that, as I said, in that category of goalkeepers where I go, capable, has his moments, but sod that. No way. No way. He's a sort of bloke, I reckon if you went on a night out with Pickford, he'd leave you alone and you're staying around his house, but he just leaves you and he just gets in a cab and just leaves you. Like, what are you doing? Done. Dusted. Pickford. No. I'll tell you one player it won't be. If we had a poll down here, we probably should have put a poll. We're probably looking at about 99% no for Pickford. And that's what it should be. And a goalkeeper that it won't be this summer is, of course, David Raya. Well, maybe not, of course, because it's not completely confirmed here, but Fabrizio Romano confirming that Spurs are on the verge of agreeing a deal for David Raya. Naturally, Spurs, they think the price is too much. He's a good goalkeeper. I think David Raya's still got a bit of development that he's needed before he becomes that. His short game isn't perfect. He's very good in a commanding position. He's very good with quick long kicks. He's got a good percentage rate there, and he's a decent shot stopper. He's not perfect, but looks like David Raya is going to be going to Spurs, and I think that is a very good appointment. Orkun Kochu is already sold. He can come off the board. I'm not going to rub any names. Even if players get sold, by the way, lads and ladies, even if players get sold, I'm not taking any names off that list because I want to know by the end of the summer. I need to update that, actually. That's 58 now. I'm not going to take anything off because I want to know by the end of the summer all the players we're linked with. All right. But yeah, it looks like David Raya is going to be going to Spurs. I think that'll be a good appointment for them. A good signing for them. I think we saw at the weekend, we all did, right? You watched Onana in goal for Inter, and you sit there and you go, that's a former... That's Eric Ten Hag's old goalkeeper. And you look at how he played, left foot, right foot, short passes, through the middle, over the top, great range, great confidence. And I think you would have noticed it as well, that City didn't just fly in and press him relentlessly, because once you get a goalkeeper who's good enough to deal with that press, then you have to press a little bit differently. Because if you just sprint relentlessly and it's almost like a headless chicken at that goalkeeper, he's just going to go, there you go, find the space, go around it. Onana played very well. And maybe that's a goalkeeper that we go after. Did he leave any Ajax fans in the comments? Did he leave? I think he left under like a little bit of a cloud, because I think he had a pre-agreement with Inter with quite a bit left in the season. I don't know whether I'm making it up or not. I think I'm right. I don't know whether he left on like bad terms with Eric Ten Hag or not. You can let me know. You can let me know in the comments. But I want us to get a goalkeeper this summer. I've made that very clear. No, I'm not sitting on any fence there. we need a new goalkeeper, right? Let's see what you're saying down here. Oh yeah, damn, I've got that. Remember that drug test he failed? Left Ajax on a free. Yeah. Maybe it wouldn't be Onana because of the previous history, but I hope we get a new goalkeeper. You can argue we need 2 goalkeepers this summer. Interesting thing. I've got in touch with Sparta Prague, and I don't know whether it's going to happen or not, but I'm trying to hook up an interview with the goalkeeping coach of Sparta Prague. It probably won't happen, but if it does happen, he'd be the perfect person to speak to about Matej Kovar. Because let's be honest, who watched who watched the Sparta Prague win the league? No, none of us. So I want to try and find out a bit more about his game, because could he come back and be a perfect second choice goalkeeper? He may well do, but we need to find out about him. That's why I've been trying to hook this interview up for a while. Which hasn't quite worked out just yet, but if it does happen, it'll be a very good interview. Something I want to finish the conversation with today is this, right? Zdenek, maybe I need to get you on the channel. You did watch Sparta. Jonathan, you're saying you could be a bit biased, though, surely. I mean, yeah, but what do you want me to do? Not speak to the goalkeeping coach who coached him for the whole year and find out about his game, how his development went, what was right, what was wrong? Anyway, Champions League next year. The Champions League didn't happen this year. No one won it. Nothing happened. The pots are out. Who do you want, right? Let's go full screen on this one. Who would be your dream draw, right? There's your 4 pots. Get them down there in the comments and we can have a little conversation about it. Pot 1, you got, mate, I swear on my life, if we get Sevilla, we got Sevilla, Barca, fine order there. Napoli. Imagine that trip to Napoli. That'd be dangerous. Bayern Munich, PSG. We're in pot 2, so we can't draw Real Madrid. We can't draw Dortmund. Pot 3, you've got Shakhtar. You've got Salzburg. That'd be a nice trip. Lazio, Rangers. At some point, I'd love to go Ibrox and watch United. I'd love it. So I think that I hope that would happen. 4th group, you've got Union Berlin and Rangers. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Be amazing trips. Galatasaray, Young Boys, Copenhagen. Ooh, Copenhagen would be nice. Let me see what you're saying about what draw you want to get. We can do like a whole video on this at some point. JDM, how you doing, buddy? Thank you very much for Super Chat. Is that from Canada? Saying, hey, how you doing, bro? First off, always props to making the amazing updates. Now, from the new goalkeeper we could grab from Atletico, they make the best goalies in the world. Obviously, you've got Oblak still, David De Gea previously. Then maybe they got someone else hiding down there, maybe. But I appreciate your comment there, JDM. And I appreciate Ariel. I don't know why I did that accent. Just felt right. I do appreciate his whole community, even if there's people that I disagree with, and I like to think that I think that's what caught me out on Saturday. Normally, the comments are where I can go into constantly, everybody watching on Facebook, everybody watching on YouTube. And I might disagree with your comments, but they're actually structured comments. And that's what it wasn't on Saturday. It was just people shouting, people just arguing. And that's what made it difficult. Let's see what you're saying down here about your draws. Final Rangers and Copenhagen, says Anthony. Cody, you're going for Munich, Milan, and Celtic. Alex, you're going for final Rangers and Copenhagen. Ramo, you want PSG, Rangers, and Galatasaray. That sounds like a Champions League group draw. That does. Benfica, Red Bull Salzburg, Rangers and Union Berlin. That would be a bit naff, considering United wouldn't be in that draw. Or Red Bull Leipzig. Final, Barca, Porto, and Young Boys. Well, guys, come on. You've got to... we're in the second pot here. You can't just draw a random one. We're in pot 2. All right. Martin, you're saying final Rangers and Copenhagen. What would be mine? I do mine selfishly because if I'm going to do some trips, and I love doing European trips. It's my favorite. Last season, I went to Cyprus. I do one every year because I can't get to go to that many games anymore because, hey, look, what we've built here is incredible and brilliant. But I've got a massive responsibility here, so I can't go to as many games, as frustrating as it is. But I always enjoy a good European trip. I would say the best European trips there. I think I'd like to do Benfica. I'd like to do Rangers. And I think I'd like to do Union Berlin. Berlin is such a cool city. Love that see. But yeah, Feyenoord, yeah. I mean, you could say that would be good because of Ten Hag and that it would be a little bit spicy. But I've been to Eindhoven. I've been to Amsterdam. I'm just being selfish here. Benfica, Rangers, and Union Berlin. That's what I would like. Anyone but with Seville. Napoli is a good trip, and Napoli will be danger. Danger. I think it would. Look, I'm going to wrap this one up. I like to think that, as I said, when all is said and done, right? I know that some of you disagree with the opinions of me, and I disagree with some of your opinions. We are all United fans. Genuinely, what we want is to see us winning our second treble. That's what we want. Some feel that the only way that that is possible is going to the Qatari side of things. I don't think that's necessarily true. That's just my personal opinion. And you know what I think about the revenues of Manchester United and becoming more sustainable. But let's find out. Let's find out what goes on this week. Because if Matt Lawton from the Times is correct that that preferred bidder is going to be named this week, and that's exactly what is being said by Mike Keegan, then we are going to get a decision. And that's what we want. Big up to every single one of you here who joined in today. It's been an exhausting time covering all of this, but ultimately it's exciting at the end of it. The idea of new owners, the idea of owners who match the ambition of our manager, of United heading in the right direction. That's what we all want after 10 years of just living in the shadows. Well, you know, we won the Europa Cup and the FA Cup and the League Cup, but not the two that mean the most to us. And that's hopefully what will change if or when new owners come in. Jonathan, man. Wow, what a cool, what a beautiful way to end the show. Really is. Jonathan gifting 10 memberships down here is just a perfect way to end it. And this is going to be a big week. It really is. I hope you're joining. I was going to change these two posters, update them, update Eric, maybe a new kit on there as well. Darren, you're saying there are qualifiers in August, Sam. Not all 32 confirmed. Maybe I'm slightly wrong then. I'll have a look at those. Either way, majority of the groups are now. I think there might be a few teams that might not be completely. So you're probably right in saying that. But look, thanks everyone for tuning in. Much love. Best community in the world. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll be there at lunchtime today. I'll do a video. Not sure what on, but it'll be there. Take it easy.